Refinement through South Node Virgo Refinement. The emphasis of this discourse will go on the sixth house in Virgo. You know that we have Virgo at the South Node for 18 months. You're going to hear in this discourse some details about how to line yourself up with how these transits brings us through progressive evolutions of ourselves. The more we're aware of these things, the more we can surrender our resistance to what's inevitable in how we evolve and change, grow. When I'm talking about refinement, let's remember this for these 18 months, is that you have to see yourself as a lump of gold that was mined out of a river or underground, okay? You're a lump of gold. But there's dirt on you, there's rock and sediment, all of these different things. But the gold has to have refinement so that it can make it to the market, okay? And the reason we are the lump of gold rather than the refined gold is that what we have been refining are inauthentic versions of ourselves. We have refined the cookie cutter personality. We have refined the corporate personality. We have refined the character that climbs the corporate ladder. But let me remind you that Pluto is not in Capricorn anymore. Let me remind you. So that is not the intent of growth right now. We are no longer committed to the corporate ladder. We are committed to us, the people, we, the people, and the purpose that we all are about to realize as these downloads rush in at rapid speed. And we're going to rise to the occasion and create the world that we need, that we want, not Rothschilds, not Rockefeller. We no longer are characters of Rothschild and Rockefeller through Capricorn. No, we're not. We have already lived out their ideal. We have already been who they wanted us to be. And the common denominator happens to be Jewish people. Jewish people. It's Jewish people who are behind the image through Hollywood and through the music industry of African American males that other people see us as before they get to know us. It's Jewish people who infiltrated the hip hop industry. Started with NWA, Hollywood, and every way that we have representation on the screen or through the speakers, because they pay the big bucks, the hefty contracts, to see us live out their own perversions of their mind, not our realities that we were actually born to fulfill. That's not who we are, and we have not been ourselves since we signed those contracts. We created hip hop, and that was the true essence of who we were, what it was when we created it. I'm from New York. I'm from New York City. And as a person from New York, I can tell you right now, hip hop was born in the Bronx River specifically. And there's always been an argument between Queensbridge and the Bronx, but regardless, it was born in New York City. When we created hip hop was about the celebration of our identities and culture. It was a sounding drum to restore pride and appreciation and unity, Black consciousness and awareness. The 5% nation was entwined with hip hop. Please ask below. If you do not know what the 5% Nation is, ask the question. Okay, we need to have more interaction up in here. So the 5% Nation was essential to the foundation of hip hop. And so was funk, blues, especially samples of Bobby Bird, James Brown, and many others who represented soul and funk as the signature of American music. Okay, that's what makes American music. Black people make American music what it is. Rock and roll, funk, jazz, you name any genre of music that differentiates American culture, it is African American people. Understand? So hip hop was infiltrated by Jewish people who had the private prison industrial complex tied into the hip hop industry. And they put up heavy money starting with the NWA, in which they started to pay them to uphold specific images of gangsterism and exploitation of themselves and the women too. Okay? Because before that started going on, hip hop was about cultural pride and consciousness. African American people drove consciousness. The poor righteous teachers. That is our true identity. It has always been our identity. Because after all, we are the Jews that the Bible talks about. We are the Hebrews that the Bible talks about. We have always been the same person, and we still are. So living out what Jewish people wanted us to live out, that changed things, okay? And it had us being who we are not. And this is the same thing with society, which Rothschilds and Rockefeller, once again, these are Jewish people, okay, who took and created the model of corporate America and opened up college education as a local opportunity and local access based on bank loans, okay, based on loans, all right? And this was a way not only to obviously make more money, but to also accelerate the industrial industries and corporate industries, especially with females, okay? Because what was realized during wartime is that females are they're easier to subject to a system without rebellion, without challenge, without question, okay? The submissive nature of the female, they were the perfect ox or working machine to uphold the corporate ideal, okay? And feminism, as well as the Lyndon B. Johnson welfare state, was a perfect way to turn liberalism into a cultural regime that would keep the woman and the man in differences, especially with the court being placed as favorable to the woman in divorce court and family court. This guaranteed that separation to remain and last, as when women are separate from husband or man, this is a promise of greater consumerism and debt. And consumerism and debt is a Jewish invention. They are the ones who invented that entire engineered model that would last even up until this current time. Jewish people are behind all of these things. So we were living out their ideals. We were living out what they wanted us to be. We were living out their scheme as the puppets and they being the puppet masters. Understand? So this time around, God, through the wisdom of his universe and forces, is now bringing us to refine the authentic identity, the authentic self that now rejects the corporate model. Okay. And what we are going for now is the Aquarius Pluto context of the people, the society, the self. This is a world where we get to be ourselves in it, and we get to determine it for ourselves through self-determination and the return of the focus upon authenticity. Understand? Not consumerism and corporate interests. Okay. So with that being said, this is what's being refined, the actual self. Okay. Now at the South Node, as I explained many times, it's the number 9 vibration, which is working against Venus detriment. The Venus detriment is what brought feminism into the equation, liberalism into the equation, woman power into the equation. Okay. Women chaos, feminine wickedness and evil agendas, females being led by Satan, okay, satanic regimes and ideals, lust and greed, okay, greed for power, things of this nature. That 9 is working against all of that and bringing everyone back to a sober state with themselves, a sober state, okay, because only through the sober self can we get to the reality of the self, okay. So that number 9 energy is going to be working against that Venus so that it does not disrupt, interrupt, or distract the process of refinement of the true and authentic self. Okay? Turning a lump of gold, dirty out of the ground, into a beautiful, clarified, polished bar of gold to hit the market, the world market. What is the world market? The 11th house. Okay. And what is the 11th house? The 11th house is ruled by what? Aquarius. It is ruled by Uranus. It is ruled by the outer rings of Saturn. Okay. Pluto is in what? Aquarius. Therefore, Pluto is in the 11th house collectively. So we are hitting the market. Okay. Market is not just transaction for money. It's transaction of value. It's transaction of goods. It's transaction of produce. That which has been cultivated and refined comes to the market. And that includes all of our beings and layers of the reality of self, not just monetary things. Okay. Not just potatoes and rice. Understand? So here's what I'm going to ask of you, the people. Okay. And I'm going to ask you again in this because I have some parts I've recorded at different times when I had the time. I need your participation. No longer do I want people just, subscribing and then taking your ass in the back and sitting the fuck down. You know what I mean? That's not helping. I want a learning environment, an environment where there are questions being asked, experiences being shared. If the questions are heavy loaded, of course, that's a reading. Okay. You got to schedule for me to put so much time and energy. But basic things, there needs to be a learning atmosphere. There needs to be a learning environment. Okay. I have to ask of you. Okay. If you're going to be, receiving of the content, I need to ask that of you. Okay. I'm not up here putting cash. If you notice, I don't have Cash App, PayPal, and all that other stuff on my videos. I don't have those links, nor do I ask you for that. You understand? So it's the least you could fucking do. You know what I mean? Instead of just subscribing and you're not paying attention what you're subscribing for, I'm here to let you know right now, in case this is the first time, second time that you listen to a video over here. I don't want you over here if you just go into the back and sitting the fuck down, chilling out, hiding in the dark. You know what I mean? Like unsubscribe and get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you over here if that's what you're doing, for real. You know what I mean? So we want a learning atmosphere because I'm not here for no reason. I'm not an entertainer. You know what I mean? There's plenty of entertainers out there. You know what I'm saying? Go jack them niggas. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's get it. Listen. Okay, let's think about this. Characteristic of at, right? Repeat after me. Characteristic of at. I bet. Characteristic of, that's every planet, okay? Every planet, every aspect. At is the sun, right? So, considering your natal birth chart, where the sun is at, that's where all of your themes of your life, that's where it takes precedence. That's where your destiny takes precedence. It's where the sun is at in your natal birth chart, in that house. That's where it takes precedence. So that's where you have a personal calling in that theater, on that stage, in that arena. The house that you have the natal sun. The planets around these 12 houses. It characterizes the planets of that theater. Okay, so where Pluto is at, where Venus is at, where Mars is at, okay, it's the characteristics of, okay, the self at the location of the sun. At. So let's say your Mars, for example, is at the 4th house. And let's say your sun is at the 8th house. Okay? So if your sun is at the 8th house, your destiny comes in where there is crisis, where there's difficulty, where there are hard decisions to make, where the pressure is on, where other people give up on trusting themselves or trusting their instincts. This is where instincts rules the day. This is where somebody has to trust their instincts, because what's in front of us, it challenges our sense of empowerment. We're challenged in feeling limited in how empowered we are to take action or take control in the situation, to move the weight. That's where you come in at. When there is crisis, difficulty, challenge. When blood, sweat, and tears start to fall on the ground and drip, that's where you come in. That's where the meaning of your life makes sense. So if you have, I think I said Mars at the 4th. If Mars is at the 4th, you take a nurturing approach to those situations through Mars. See what I'm saying? You take a nurturing approach to those situations through Mars. So the house, it characterizes the planet, but at the theater of the sun, okay, wherever the sun is at. Behind that, you have the signs. The signs are the different algorithms of each planet and how it is characterized for you. Okay, so I use Mars as an example, so let me stick with Mars. You have to refer to Aries placement and the Scorpio placement to really know the characteristics of that Mars for you. Okay, so where Aries is at, that house theme, and where Scorpio is at, that house theme, that is the characteristic, that's the spiritual algorithm, the temperament, the characteristic of that Mars. Understand? The immediate reality of the Mars is where Mars is at, in that house. But the characteristic, the driving character behind it are the houses that Aries and Scorpio is at. Okay, that's what empowers it or tells it what to do. It takes place at the theater where you have the sun. Okay, so now that I clarified that. Aries is the tip of the knife. This is where you are the initiator. This is where you feel most confident and emboldened. And this is where oftentimes you assume the responsibility of, taking the first hit, first foot forward, and walking through the cobwebs, This is where you are the pioneer. And with that being said, Aries eclipse, we're pioneering into a new storyline where this time you get to be yourself instead of somebody else. Where this time you get to be authentic instead of a socially engineered character of society. You get to be yourself this time. What does life look like being yourself? And all the things that we were learning was to support us in fulfilling that. So if you look behind you in the lessons that you were learning, it arrives you at the confidence to be able to live that out, being yourself. And of course, you have to overcome rejection. You have to overcome mutiny. You have to overcome betrayal. You have to overcome isolation. You have to overcome those things to really embrace being yourself. And this was the significance of Chiron in Aries. Understand, Chiron was key to us being able to have the confidence that we have today to be ourselves. And very soon, when Mars gets into Leo, we're really going to feel this. That's when we're really, really going to feel it. Mars is still pushing through the water. Very complicated for Mars. Mars is out of bounds. Okay, when it's in Cancer, Mars is out of bounds. And what out of bounds is about is 23 degrees north of the tropic. When a planet goes just above or just below the tropic line, it's out of bounds. And what that out of bounds means is that it's not going to go according to rules of conditioning and social agreement or expectation. It's going to do its own thing. It's going to do its own thing. So basically, you're away from the village where somebody will say, hey, you're not supposed to do that, or that's not the way we do it. You're on your own, so you're going to follow your own instincts instead of doing what the village would have held you to do, or what the village would have wanted you to do. You're going to do what the hell you want to do, you see? And what also further empowers this is how much rejection and isolation and abandonment that we all have been learning as conditioning themes, okay? So now what we're referencing to most is not public opinion or what other people think of us. It's not the headlines of the news or, some social media podcasts with some, pretty or handsome face that's influencing us by the looks. By the emphasis of Scorpio over the past 18 months, we're learning to trust our own instincts to arrive at conclusions. And that's what makes Scorpio so significant. Black Moon Lilith just entered Scorpio. Juno is about to retrograde back into Scorpio, and we still have also Vesta, the eternal flame, at Scorpio. All of this shows us that as we're learning to step into the big shoes, the big coat that we have to grow into, between that bridge of Pisces and Aries, the 29th degree Pisces on up to the 1st degree of Aries, we're learning how to be master at this gate, okay? Where spirit transfers into form, where essence transfers to form. We're learning how to be masters of bringing out of spiritual essence into the physical realm of reality. And all of these different lessons of the self is part of what allows us to do so effectively, efficiently, and with wisdom and grace like a master should. All of that goes into it. None of it can be separated from the process. Last decan Pisces, first decan Aries, we're getting more and more aware of what's in that subconscious area of ourself. We're learning how to identify what's there and when it's there, and how to take command of it, how to give it form, and also how to, relate with it without fear, and how to relate to it also without projection, insecurity, or the living out of past timeline traumas. We're learning how to create from optimism. We're learning how to create from faith, conviction, belief, love, and understanding. From the most sincere places of the heart, not our fears, lusts, and corruptions. We had to cycle through all of these lessons and themes throughout humanity, even since times that you were not even born, to reach this stage of evolution. Recycling over and over again, coming in and out of this life. And we've reached a very high place in evolution. You don't want to always think so far ahead when you're considering astrology. You darting all the way ahead. Stay within the timeline and the events of the outer planet retrograde, okay? All you need to do is think as far as, okay, or plan or strategize as far as the outer planet retrogrades. This is not to say that in your life, you don't plan and strategize other things years ahead. I get that. But as far as astrology is concerned, okay, you're doing yourself a favor when you just look at what are the events between now and the fall, winter, outer planetary retrogrades. That's the focus that you need to have. And whenever you get to the winter retrograde that's working its way out to the spring forward motion outer planets, that's when you plan for the direct motion outer planets and what's getting ready to take place. Because it's going to require all of your focus and attention to the details of each one of those timelines. So if you're not present for the timeline of what's going on between the spring and summer direct motion and present during the fall, winter retrograde motion of the outer planets, you're not going to give the focus that you need to all of these events. You're not going to be present with it. We can't be in the past and we can't be in the future. We have to be present with all of these lessons and themes that are unfolding. That's the only way you're going to be present. So right now, what we have to focus on is the fact that spring to summer, the outer planets are direct motion. So this is a time where we don't need to have control of everything. We don't need to know everything. Okay? This is time of vulnerability, initiation, creation, exposure, getting the scope of, realizing what it's going to take, getting a glimpse or a peek into the new land ahead. This is putting your feet in the water, getting used to the temperature of the water. You see what I'm saying? So you're getting reconnaissance. Okay, you're performing recon on the conditions ahead is what you're doing from spring to summer. The retrograde is what's going to sharpen those details, where you get introspect and details and review on all of those events, situations, circumstances, so that you can mold your character and reform your mindset, refine and cultivate all of the details, so that by forward motion the following year, spring, summer of the outer planets, that's when you make progress on the initiated timeline of the north and south node. Okay? And if I threw you for a loop as far as the north and south node, all of this works with the north and south node. Okay? Because the eclipse seasons, they bring the south node in and they bring the south node out. Okay? It's 18 months at a time between north and south node transit. We're just entering the north node Pisces, south node Virgo. That's 18 months ahead. The 18 months is forward direction, outer planets. Okay? Retrograde motion, direct motion. It's a three swipe. It swipes 3 times. Forward, backwards, forward. And then it's a new north node, south node. Forward, backward, forward. And then it's a new north node, south node. Forward, backward, forward. And then it's a new. That's the pattern. Okay? I'm trying to get you on to the pattern. This is the pattern. All right? Remember this pattern so you don't get too far ahead of yourself. All right? You have to stay within the focus of that 18-month window of the north and south node transit. But you can't eat it all at once. You have to look at it 6 months at a time, 6, 12, 18. Okay? 6 months at a time. What's the significance of 6 months? Okay? The eclipse season. That's the significance of the 6 months. Also, new moon, full moon, 6 months. Okay? So, well, not eclipse, but full moon, new moon. Okay? So, when we're looking at the new moon, full moon, the new moon opens up timelines in each sign and house, that closes 6 months later. The full moon closes events in a sign or a house that opens up 6 months later. So 6 months, you get openings and closings. And then the next 6 months, you get closings and openings at the same houses. And then the next 6 months, you get openings and closings again at the same houses. You see? And the opening and closing is so that you get wisdom in each house that matches the timeline concept. It's wisdom. That's what the new moon and full moon gives you. It gives you wisdom because the moon collects the experiences. It traces the footsteps of the sun. The moon collects the experiences of the sun's travel. Wherever the sun is where your experiences are. Okay, so the moon collects those experiences and it culminates it in the full moon as a burden of wisdom, a burden of experiences that processes and transforms into wisdom, and it transforms through the water houses. You see, it transforms with the inner child through Cancer. It transforms, transmutes in Scorpio and 8th house themes. Places where your power has come to an end, where you have to surrender. You have no choice but to surrender or retreat, where you have to, let go if you're going to go forward. And Pisces, where you have to dissolve emotional burdens. And this is where it becomes wisdom, because it refines through each one of those steps. It cultivates through each one of those steps. Again, cultivation and refinement. So you get wisdom at 6 months at a time on all the houses. You see, it opens and closes. So at one point, when you have a full moon at one house, 6 months later, it's going to be a new moon. You see, when you have a new moon at one house, 6 months later, it's going to be a full moon. Okay, this is the pattern you got to remember. Opening and closing, beginning and ending. You see, and you don't get ahead of yourself if you remember this, because how are you going to rush ahead to, a Taurus experience and we didn't even get there yet? You see, stay present with the lunar activity, with the timelines, with what's going. Stay present. Stop jumping so ahead. Calm the fuck down. You know what I'm saying? You gotta ride the wave. Go with the flow of the universe, not trying to control everything. There's a lot of control that we gotta learn to release. We get more control when we let more control go. You know what I'm saying? The more we let go of control, release control, not being irresponsible or complacent, negligent, but releasing the need to be in control of every damn thing. That's fear. You know what I mean? So let me clarify this again, because I really want people to understand this. I really want people to understand. That's why I explain. These videos be like an hour or 2 hours long. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to explain. There's not enough explaining. Now, we just entered North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo. So we got 18 months. So the first 6 months focuses on half of the chart that open and close. You see what I'm saying? This is half of the chart that opens and closes. Right? Well, really, no, it's a full chart. That opens and closes. And then the next 6 months, it does a reverse. And then the next 6 months reverse from that as far as opening and closing. What was open gets closed, and what closed gets open. Okay? So that's culmination of wisdom through intuition of the moon. All right? Intuitive wisdom. Now, what also works with this, the retrogrades. Okay? Every 6 months, we get the retrograde. There's a window, give or take, okay? But every 6 months, we have the outer planetary retrograde. And then 6 months after that, they go direct. See? So the 6 month thing, it works together. It works in unison. 6 months, the outer planet is direct. After that 6 months, they go retrograde. After that 6 months, they go direct again. You see? Now, the first direct motion is exposure. Okay? It's exposure to the 18-month cycle of the North-South Node lesson or process. It's exposure. Okay, it exposes you to what that's going to be. The exposure is what we call knowledge. That is to know. Okay, you getting exposed to what that looks like or means for you. That's knowledge. Retrograde gives you introspective to what you know. It gives you introspective what you know through experience, right? Where outer planets are retrograde for those 6 months. Now you're reviewing your experiences, and that becomes wisdom by the time the outer planets go direct again in the spring, summer. Okay? So, when it goes retrograde again, okay, and out of its direct motion from there, now you're working on understanding. You see? So, the first pass, knowledge, the retrograde, wisdom, the last pass, understanding. You see? It's different levels. So that is what allows you to progress from sign to sign with authority. Okay? 2.5 years at a time. 2.5 years at a time. Where Saturn goes to a sign lending you authority. And Pluto goes between, I believe it's 3 degrees at a time. 3 or 4 degrees at a time. All right? Which deals with your power. Authority has to move power as far as these outer planets. So my aim, my point is to help you to see that you can relax, you can sit back, and you can focus, you can be present. Be present. Align yourself with the motion of this universe. Align yourself with that. So what you got to think about right now is, let me align myself and show up in full participation with the forward motion of the outer planets. Because in the fall, winter, they're going to start going retrograde, and it's going to be time for me to go over what I've done or created and get it right, clarify it, clean it up, refine it, sharpen it, perfect it. Then when it goes direct again, I'm ready. I'm going to have progress. You see? So why am I going to expect forward motion and progress when the outer planets are retrograde? You see what I'm saying? So it helps us with forming intentions that are aligned with the universe. Our ideals and intentions for forward motion is while the outer planets are in forward motion. Our intentions for clarification, for salvation, for purification, for alignment, for well-being, that's during the retrograde, for understanding, seeking understanding. And then the direct motion again, that's where we want to have forward progress. That's when your plan should be more of forward progress. You see? So it's futile for you to keep working against that, getting in your own way, and then get mad when it don't work out like that. You trying to have forward motion agenda during the winter, you know what I'm saying, during the retrograde of the outer planets, and that's not what the fuck is going on here. You know what I mean? It don't work like that. So this is what helps us to align and be intentional and stay present and absorb the full meaning of our life and what it was intended to be, not way out there somewhere, you know, in Timbuktu. You know what I mean? So hopefully that works. Ask questions if you need to. Aries new moon eclipse, solar eclipse. In that case, Aries. The theme of Aries. You think about the season where the flower buds on trees, even before the new leafage. Before that you see the green leaves on trees, you see the flowers first. The flowers first. It's a beautiful time. Where there's finally decoration, animation after stillness. It's a resurrection after death. the cold winter, spring, when new life warms up, vibrates high, and you have a theater of beauty and creation and unity, where everything makes its mark, its unique expression out to the world, to the environment, that I am thus. I am a honeybee, I am a tree, I'm a badger, I'm a fish, I'm a horse, I'm a bird. Everything is communicating exactly what they are. Everything comes out to take part in the orchestra, the symphony. Well, it's the same case every season with our life. And what went before this was the cold winter. Everything has to die on the surface, and we go within. It's the same on the earth plane. The winter seasons, the leaves fall away, the skies are gray, it's cold, fall and winter. Decorations, they wither away in anticipation for spring again in the new year. Well, what's the correlation with that with ourselves? Fall and winter retrogrades. Fall and winter retrogrades of the outer planets. As above, so below. Macrocosm, microcosm. You and the universe are one. You're exactly the same as the seasons. No different. We're coming out of our fall-winter season in our life journey, in our soul's journey. Now that outer planets are unfolding their stories and themes for 2025. And we have from now until fall to give it all we got, to express, to put out, to put up, to do, to create, to construct, to act, to use our force going forward. Starting in the fall, the outer planets will begin going retrograde, and that's when the forward motion will stop, so that we can have introspect on what have we covered, what have we experienced, what have we created, what have we caused, what have we pushed, what have we destroyed, what have we clarified, what have we confused. This is the same pattern every year. But somehow we don't catch on. Somehow we forget. But that's who we are. That's what it's about, being human. We forget. Same pattern. So spring, your story for 2025 is awakening. And in the fall and winter season of 2025, you're going to go over everything that you created, everything that you co-created for introspect. So with that in mind, we now can be sharper in co-creation. Yes, this is Aries season, and you're going to feel it. The beauty of the world calls you to come out and get active. Get outside. Be seen. Stand in the light. Yo, move out the way for Shorty can see me. Move out the way. Yo, move out the way for Shorty can see me. You want to be seen. You want to be heard. You want to get involved. That's what you're supposed to do. I get it. But keep in mind that you have to go back over this again in the fall and winter. You have to judge yourself. You have to criticize yourself. You have to examine yourself. You have to teach yourself. You have to review yourself. You have to hold yourself accountable. You have to adjust yourself. You have to clean up what you spill. Quality control, damage control. You have to do that during the fall and winter season when the outer planets go retrograde, when time stops, when time slows down, when the progress halts, and you have to examine and get busy with the details. Further refinement. Summer and spring is more so about discovery. It's more so about initiations. It's more so about introductions, exposures, exploration, vulnerable opportunity to seize, covering new ground. The cultivation process in and of itself, and refinement goes with the fall and winter. Stay with me as I talk about these seasons. We're going to be more mindful from now on. And that's going to help us to be in control of what we're creating. Not like a control freak, but what I mean is intentional creators. This is what I bring into existence. I take full responsibility for what I'm initiating through the power of my intention, the spark of light in my intention. And I will withstand and endure what's required of me to refine it. I take full responsibility for what I create and co-create. This has to be the case. Spring. Aries. Solar Eclipse. New slate. New slate for the next 11 to 13 years. Understand, a new slate. This new slate, it means a new story is initiating in your life because you've already learned a lesson over the past 11 to 13 year window. You've already learned that lesson concerning Aries. So now a new story of Aries begins, and it's a big suit. It's big shoes, it's big pants, like when you're younger and your older brother or sibling, they give you the jacket or the shoes, you got to grow into it. It's a story that you have to grow into. So as you get introduced to it, you're going to recognize it as consciously a thing that you need to learn, a thing that you need to experience. Or rather, I should say, instead of a thing, it's really yourself that you need to learn in a particular way. To experience yourself in a particular way. And with Aries, it has a lot to do with what you take initiative on, what you initiate. Where you feel bold, courageous, and empowered to pioneer. It's where you don't ask permission to do. You do it because you see it's what should be done. Your soul compels you to do so. You can't resist it. So your new creations are about to begin. When it comes to Aries, this is where we feel we are called forward to fight. We're called forward to stand for justice. This is where we put those who we love behind us, and we put our chests exposed in front of them. This is where we ask to take every bullet for the team, for the clan, for the village, for the family, for those who we love, and for that which we believe in. This is where we are the fierce warriors. We charge forward, initiating, not asking for permission. We prefer to ask for forgiveness instead of ask permission. There's no way I can ask permission when it comes to this. I'm doing this. I'm going to get it popping right here. This is what I'm getting it popping. I'm setting it off right here. And that's what we do every time. What we had to learn is to be assertive without being aggressive. Being constructive, not destructive. We had to learn mastery so that there's less regrets, collateral damage, chaos, confusion, unnecessary burden, sacrifice because of the lack of obedience, wisdom and maturity. This time. Saturn is going to bring us into introspect in Pisces over the 2025 winter, fall and winter. And at that time, we're going to look at what's behind our initiations, what's behind the intentions that we hold, and what it is that we're creating, what we have authorized to initiate. And that begins with Pisces. It doesn't begin in Aries, it begins in Pisces. That's where the germination of an intention begins. That's where the fermentation of the seed of thought begins, in Pisces, not Aries. Pisces holds the essence for that. The essence of thought, the germination of thought, it's a consciousness that requires a formation of thought. And these are angels. These are angels. Illumination that does not have form. Illumination that inspires to prefer a form that is godlike. To select a form for that energy or that consciousness that represents heaven, that represents truth, justice, righteousness, piety, goodwill, love, above all, understanding justice. Every attribute that glorifies the Most High. That's what an angelic impulse is. It doesn't have form. It is not part of physics. It is illumination that is before physics. Once you enter into physics now, these are orishas, not angels. There's a difference. The angels hand those impulses of illumination to orishas. And orishas are understood to be the forces of nature, or Elohim. And these forces of nature subject those impulses of illumination to specific forms, which begins with formation of thought. It's a transfer of consciousness to thought, and then thought into the lines of physics, where eventually it finds form. And form can be as insignificant as a word. A word. A bodily expression, or something that you have taken material and built a concept with. That part comes from Orishas. So in Pisces, these are angelic impulses. They have not yet been subjected to the laws of physics. What goes into Pisces, it loses its connection to physics. What comes out of Pisces, it finds a connection to physics. This is what we need to understand. Aries is where physics are first. Aries is where impulsive thought is first subjected to physics. It's where consciousness is formed into what is relatable in the physical material world. And that is where Jupiter comes in. Jupiter is the sunlight of the material realm. And that it represents understanding, wisdom, and competence of physics, logistics, and laws. Physics, logistics, and laws. Physics, logistics, and laws. Which is why Jupiter has two places where these things are active. This principle is active. Sagittarius and Pisces, which is 9th house and 12th house. The energy that is unnamed, the forces that are unnamed through Pisces, it's asking you to give it representation in your physical, in your material existence, in the existence of your density. And Aries is where you have a particular way, a specific place where you initiate that. Let me give an example. If you find your Aries in your natal birth chart, this is where you first subject conscious thought, or conscious impulse that is, to thought that relates to the laws of physics, such as a picture or image in your mind and head, where you identify, I want to experience ice cream. I want to experience driving very fast. I want to experience going swimming. I want to experience building a house. That's where what you want to feel, it's trying to identify with what you must do to relate to that feeling or to experience that feeling. And you find what is relatable to you according to your consciousness. So the house that Aries governs for you in this lifetime, according to your natal birth chart, that is where this takes place. That is the context of how you take thought and energy that does not have form, which is angelic impulse, and you seek to pair it with something that you could create, initiate, or co-create. And this is what forms our image as the rising or ascendant signs that we are. Is the house locations of these specific logistics, these spiritual logistics, these conscious logistics. So 2025, 26, Aries and Pisces is inseparable as a reference point to where we're starting at. You have to be partly in the last decan of Pisces and the first decan of Aries. This is where it's all starting. We're going to have retrogrades moving through this energy. introspect, and review in this area. Transformation in this area. 2025-26. Which lets us know that the North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo, it's what's going to give us the context of how this detailed transformation is to take place, what it means, the North and South Node. So the entire timeline of the North and South Node, Pisces, Virgo, is going to be unfolding its meaning between that last decan of Pisces, first decan Aries. So we got to know what this is. This is the subconscious finding its way to the prefrontal cortex. Aries rules what? The head. Aries rules the head. Aries rules the head. The subconscious finding its way to the prefrontal cortex to form thought and intention. Or if I say it in the proper way, intention and thought. So between your intention, desire, and thought, what is coming out of the waters of Pisces is nothing but what you dissolved in the first place. You're just reforming it. I hope you paid attention to what I just said. Let me give an example. You were walking around, for example, let's say you were walking around with a gold watch, gold bracelet, and, big Cuban link, right? And you've outgrown that part of yourself for the past 13 years. So you take it to Pisces and you put it in the ladle to dissolve. And you heat it up and you boil it down to its most authentic essence or substance, material, which is gold. The byproduct rises to the top in what's called slag. It's called slag, okay? The slag rises to the top, okay? It's a foamy, gritty substance of impurities. And what remains at the bottom is the pure gold. Nonetheless, you're melting it down to its most pure substance. It's no longer a watch. It gave away its form through the heat. It's no longer a bracelet or a necklace. It gave up its form because of the heat. So it had to melt and change its form, its physics. Okay? So now physics are returning it back to essence, to its original state through the laws of physics. It's working alchemy. Right? So now you have liquid gold. Okay, so you let it cool off into a bar of gold and you contemplate, what do I want to do with this? That is the 29th degree Neptune. What do I want to do with this melted gold that no longer has the form of a bracelet, a watch, or a Cuban link necklace? Okay, and if I reference back to your personal situation, what am I going to do with these relationships or career situations or things that I was devoted to, committed to, giving my attention and focus to, that I no longer feel connected with? I've dissolved that, but yet I still have the underlying essence of what brought me to it in the first place, which is something pure, okay? I want to belong. I want to feel like I'm part of something important, something effective, something meaningful. I want to be loved. I want to be accepted. I want to be embraced and celebrated, okay? These are pure desires, but we find ourselves in an outlived situation after all of these efforts, and we learn many things in that process. Now it's time to dissolve that back into its pure essence, okay? So we dissolve all the experience back into the pure essence, which began with an impulse to feel a certain way about ourselves, okay? So you have the gold. That 29th degree Pisces is where it's sitting as a gold bar. It's nothing but a gold bar, all right? It's a bar of gold, a gold nugget. It used to be what you were living out over the past 13 years. That's what it used to be, according to the Aries context of your life. So now, shifting from the 29th degree Pisces into Aries, that is any planet and every planet that moves across that border, it has to take a form. But the form begins with the intention, the thought and intention, okay? The thought is the merging of subconscious and conscious energy. That's thought. It's what unconscious and conscious energy meets, and it forms a thought. That's the first form. So now you're talking about the bridge between the 29th, 0, and 1st degree. Okay? Pisces, Aries. Those 3 points, that is the formation of thought. Thought is the first introduction to formation. It's also the first introduction to release back into essence, when you release thought or when you grasp thought. You release thought to bring it back to Pisces. You grasp thought to reassert it through Aries. You see how that works? So, with the sun having its eclipse at Aries, we're learning how to take this bar of gold and to identify it with new thought, new intention, new concept, new strategy, to apply such form to the gold. So now what used to be a gold bracelet, a gold watch, a gold necklace, now becomes a gold ring. You want to get married. It becomes a gold crown. You have found yourself as a king or queen in this life. It becomes, something else that is more fitting for where you are now. So you're reforming what has always been with you. You're not getting anything. It's not anything new. It's reformation. It's not anything new. Yes, it's a new beginning at Aries, but you're repurposing the value that has always been with you and always will be with you. You're repurposing it because you're reforming it. We don't get new value. You are the value that you are when you were conceived. You came here with your total value. That's just like a diamond or a gold nugget. It already comes with its total value. But cultivation and refinement process, that is what allows you to demand that the fair exchange of that value. You can't demand the fair exchange of that value or maximize that value. You can't enter the market with that value until there's refinement. Yes, you're going to find somebody to buy a dusty gold nugget. You're going to find somebody to buy a diamond in the rough. You most certainly will. But these are visionaries. These are visionaries. People who recognize what it is. People who understand what it is. People who have the wisdom to know the value of what that dusty or dirty thing is that you just drug out of your truck. And we all know that is few and far in between. How many people know the value of what's in front of them? Okay, so this is where we got to get realistic with these comparative similitudes that I'm drawing up. So refinement is a key part to being able to enter the market as valuable. The value is always with you. It never left you and it never will. But without refinement, nobody will ever know that. Without refinement, you also won't be able to know that. Now, refinement takes place between the direct and retrograde motions of these planets and signs. That's where the refinement takes place. Where we're polishing off, we're cleaning up, we're examining the details, we're chipping away, we're perfecting, we're polishing, resurfacing, add a little this, take away that. We're learning how to refine. And the cultivation, that has to do with timelines. It has to do with you investing in yourself, investing in what is valuable to you. That is cultivation, and cultivation goes with Taurus, just as refinement goes with Virgo. Cultivation and refinement. The Virgo process, the Virgo consciousness is where our refinement is at. The Virgo process being the pessimistic outlook. You're not looking for what's right. You're looking for what's wrong so that it can be perfected. Quality control department. You're looking at it in scrutiny. You're criticizing it. Why? Because you're trying to remove all of the imperfections. You're looking at it as if a bonsai tree is in front of you. You wouldn't take your car to a car detailer and he's looking for everything that's right. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. No, he want to look for what's wrong. These fingerprints, this pollen all over the car, this scratch right here, this little dirt right here. Okay, a little dust in there. When somebody is looking at everything that's wrong with the thing, they perfect it. That's how you perfect it. That's Virgo. And that's why Virgos are pessimistic. That's why they're always looking for what's wrong with something, not what's right. That's refinement. To look at yourself, to examine yourself with scrutiny, with constructive criticism, and with a keen eye, with the white glove looking for dust. That's what you're supposed to do with yourself in a healthy way, with healthy limitations, refinement. And that's what allows you to take the value that you are, that you have, that you always will have and always have had. That's what makes it marketable. It's not marketable if you ain't doing nothing with it. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan wasn't the greatest basketball player that ever lived. He was the greatest known basketball player that ever lived because he emphasized refinement, and people around him who loved him emphasized refinement for him too. So he was able to take his value to the marketplace. That don't mean that other young men in his generation wasn't as valuable as he was in basketball, or even better. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you, there were plenty of young brothers that was better than him in basketball. You know what I'm saying? Somebody in locked down in prison right now is a better basketball player than Jordan. Somebody in a high school right now, way better than Jordan, or during his time, I should say. But they were not discovered, or they were not, being refined by a coach. They were not being refined by the parents. They were not being refined by the community. So because refinement didn't take place, the value doesn't make it to the market, is what I'm saying. See, we all knew for a long time, I'm this valuable person. I know I got this value. Okay, that don't mean nothing if you're not practicing refinement, though. And refinement looks like what takes place during the retrogrades. That's where the refinement is really at. What does the status of your sixth house look like? What you do day to day, the amount of accountability that you put into it, and discipline, obedience that you put into it, procurement that you put into it. The sixth house upholds the 10th house, and the 10th house is your character. That's your image. That's your reputation. That's what people know you for. That's what people say about you when you're not around. That's your business card. That's your face card, the 10th house. Yeah, that's your advertisement. That's your marketing commercial that you live out. But the sixth house is what determines what that looks like, your day to day. The sixth house is what forms that character, that reputation, what you do every day, and do it well. How you do one thing is how you do everything. How do you wash your car? Okay, so I see what type of person you are. I see what type of time you want. How you do one thing is how you do everything. It's about refinement. So if we can learn refinement, which emphasizes the sixth house, it will perfect and illuminate the 10th house. That's how the 10th house becomes marketable. That's how the 10th house allows other people to witness the actual value that you walk with, the actual value that you have. That's where it becomes noticeable. That's when it becomes realized. Because if you just have a big ass lump of gold with dirt and grime all over because you just dug it up out the ground, people are going to walk past that all day because it's not shining, first of all, because it got mud all over it. People look at it at first glance and say, oh, there's a rock. All they see is a rock. But the more you refine it, you clean it off, you know what I'm saying? You boil it down or you take it to a jewelry. I don't even know the name of those people. A jewelry purveyor. You know what I'm saying? To bring out its luster, to bring out its form and its beauty. Okay, with that gold, yeah. Now it's noticeable. So if you got a big ass Cuban link gold chain just laying on the floor, or nice gold ring or gold watch or something, people drive by, they're gonna see it sparkling from a mile away. They'll be like, yo, hold up, stop. It's a Cuban link laying right there on the bench. You know what I'm saying? And people can't help but to notice it. There's no way somebody's gonna walk past that. It's the same thing with you. If it's no way somebody's gonna walk past you if you really do show yourself as that value. This for all of us. So if we're not practicing refinement, our 10th house is not going to produce the final product that we're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So that refinement is essential. And this is part of the retrogrades. Every planet that goes retrograde, your refinement is in that. And everything that Saturn has you to focus on, your refinement is in that. Saturn rules the 10th house. Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn rules the production of your character, the formation of your character. So where are you going without Saturn? See, if you look at what American females do, right? They leave Saturn out of every spiritual venture that they have. They leave Saturn out. No rules, no limitations, no obedience, no compliance, no authority, and especially no males, no nothing. Just delusion and dreams and sweet positive vibes poetry. So what they end up having to do to compensate, because they have not formed themselves as the valuable potential that they really are, they have to compensate by buying wigs, jewelry, makeup, BBLs, all kind of extra stuff like crystals and sage all over the place and all up in the videos. They have to have all this extra stuff, push the cleavage up, special video angles and lighting and all. You have to do all that extra because you yourself are not, refined. That's where that comes from. So refinement is what allows the actual value of the person, it manifests. And that's part of that Virgo energy. Cultivation and refinement, they both have to go together. You can't skip this step of refinement. According to refinement, nobody knows what element is what. That's the only way that we can really identify what element is what, is through refinement. In the time behind us, we've been making a mistake. But the mistake is loaded with lessons. It's loaded with memories of those mistakes that now crystallizes new wisdom that we get to walk with in our mastery going forward from here. So it was necessary. All of it was necessary. At the South Node is Virgo, which is exactly where those mistakes are at. South Node. Okay? Through the South Node, our mistakes don't get wasted. Our errors don't go to waste. The things that we suffered, it's not for aught. Because of the South Node, it allows our errors, our mistakes, our weaknesses, our hang-ups, our losses. It allows us to make good fortune out of all of it, to turn it all into a win through karmic discipline. Through karmic discipline. Virgo is at the South Node for the next 18 months. And remember to apply that timeline to the fact that we're coming out of Pisces and into Aries. That's the bridge. That's the bridge. So this bridge has to start with refinement. Virgo is refinement. The sixth house is refinement. So Virgo in the sixth house, it has to be subject to intention. Intention. And the intention, because we have to know that through the sixth house, your time and your energy is your resource that you are responsible for. Who's accessible to you and for how much time? How much value you're giving out and how much value you're taking in. What situations, circumstances that you're putting yourself into. The environments that you walk through. What duties and responsibilities that you inherit or open up for yourself. Time management, which may sound redundant, but it is a separate theme, which is critical to refinement. If we have gotten sober enough to recognize where real value is at and not just chasing after glittery things, shiny things, but seeing where the real value is at. And noticing the correlation between value and refinement. Noticing the correlation. Anything that is truly valuable requires refinement. That's part of what makes it so valuable. I was watching a YouTube video of a Japanese artist. This man took 2 days to make some lipstick. He started with going to his garden and he pulled out several different herbs and he put them into several different pots to melt them down, and so many sophisticated details where he put mud around the pots and strained them and buried it underground and heated the pots up and walked off and clarified it again. And then he took some more flowers and herbs to make the color and blended it and it finally became lipstick. Now, all of that just to make a little jar of lipstick. But that whole process is called refinement. And that's exactly what makes the lipstick so valuable. I didn't see what the price was for the lipstick, but I'm here to tell you, if you could get a jar of lipstick made from a Japanese man in the country who takes his time and pride to go through all of that to make a natural lipstick out of herbs and roots from the ground and all types of natural things, you know what I'm saying? And spending 2 days to make that, do all that hard work, versus going to, wherever ladies get the lipstick in the store and you go buy a lipstick. You can't tell me that you would rather have the lipstick by Maybelline or whoever else instead of the lipstick that this Chinaman, that's just mad disrespectful to conflate that. This Japanese man made, okay? Hands down. Like if I was, if I ever wore lipstick, I would want the lipstick that the Japanese man in the country made. You know what I'm saying? Look what he put into that. It's natural. Ain't no, substances that you have to question and all this other stuff. All the time that he put into it. It looked like, it's a tradition. And I don't know, maybe he been doing that for thousands of years. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? People, maybe his great, ancestors been doing that for thousands of years. But the point that I'm making, we want everything quick and fast, microwave and go. You know what I'm saying? But anything that really has value, it has to be refined. If you are truly going to be valuable, how are you expecting people to recognize you as being valuable? And you have not invested what would make you, to show up as valuable. It's not a fair ask. We want the highest value, but we don't want to give the highest value in exchange. Aren't we having the same crisis in the dating market? Everybody want the most valuable person according to what public opinion says is valuable. But how many people really produce a valuable person in themselves? And here's where we get it mixed up. Here's where we get it twisted. Where we get it mixed up and where we get it twisted is We think that value oftentimes can be made up for by buying stuff. No, you're giving value for superficial value. Okay? You're giving the value of your dollar, of your resources, monetary value in exchange for superficial value. That's still not real value. College degrees, that's great. That's wonderful. We have to have that. Education, yes, we have to have that. It's great to have a college degree. It's great that you're an entrepreneur. But what does that all mean if you're still a slime ball? You still, if you still lack, character, morals, values, integrity, you still a spiritual mess inside of yourself. Can you be trusted with your kids? Can you be trusted with somebody else's kids? Will you respect your marriage if you do get married? What's the status of relationships in your life? If your mother gets old and sick, will you be there to take care of her? Or will you go off into your rich mansion and pay somebody else to put in the old people's home? College education and being wealthy, rich does not equate. It does not equate to real value. It does not. We have made this mistake in society of turning that corner and thinking that it's going to make us valuable, and it doesn't. How many people with a lot of money and status, worldly success, entrepreneur, six figures, millionaire, billionaire, and they still turn out to be sick perverts? Look at all the rich people, the wealthy people who have everything that money can buy, everything that education can get them. But you still turn out to be the most corrupt, filthy, wicked individuals that ever walked the earth. And we've been seeing this in real time over the past 2 years, where celebrity after celebrity have been falling down left and right, falling from grace, getting exposed for things that are just unspeakable crimes, child sex trafficking and abuse and baby oil events and all this other stuff. And, it's just a world of sickness behind wealth and education, people who have status. We're being asked to refine ourselves and create value through the actual being of the self. The self that is not defined by the dollar or the corporate status. The status of the self that's not defined by what you have or what you have purchased or what you wear. Look at the correlation here. What's more distracting and destructive than attractive females on the internet giving out advice? What's more harmful to the public than pretty girls giving advice? Pretty girls on the internet from a cell phone, rocking people into spells. Because they're pretty, people turn off their brain and they just do whatever she says. They agree to whatever she says. They believe whatever she says because they're under the spell of her looks. This is American society. This is a generation of children who are programmed by pretty women. Pretty women taught them how to think, how to reason, how to behave. Pretty women taught them how to move in their relationships, how to treat each other. It's pretty women on the internet who taught them what to do when they have a hard time in life. That's where they got their advice from, because that's the only person who they believe. They don't believe anybody else. So you mean to tell me that's how you define value is who's the prettiest, who gets the most attention, who gets the most likes, who gets the most followers, who got status? No, it's not. And we're being done a favor to come out of these illusions through the number 9 vibration at the South Node, which works against the detriment of Venus. If you've been following me, you know exactly what this means. If you don't know what it means, please ask the question and I will explain it to you gladly. Ask the question. Just don't sit in the back, quiet, licking the windows and, you know what I'm saying, picking your nose, not saying nothing. Because a lot of people subscribe and they come in here and they hide out in the back. That's what I don't want. If you're going to hide out in the back, just get the fuck out. Go. Please, hurry up and leave. Unsubscribe. Get the fuck out. I don't want you here. If you subscribing just to hide in the back and not participate, get the fuck out. I'd rather deal with 5 people, you know what I'm saying, who respect what it is. I don't want you lurking around, hiding out like a fucking spider on the wall. Get the fuck out. You know what I mean? I don't want y'all niggas here. I don't care about the fucking followers. 5 people, 5 followers is good enough for me. 5 people. I don't need 106 people hanging out, just fucking looking. That's not what this is for. Take this and make it work in your life. That's what it's for. Get noisy, get vocal in the comment section. You know what I'm saying? Come alive. Encourage other people by asking questions or you know, giving your you know what I mean, your positive input, how it's been working for you or not, you know, things like that. But you sit your fucking ass in the back and you hide out. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't get paid for this. None of that. Okay, so I'm not relying on all of that stuff or clout or views and that. Nah, that shit is history. I'm here for, you know what I mean, for people to actually learn and absorb. Apply what you get from the video. Put it on your life. Apply it. Practice. Put it into practice. So all y'all hiding out ass niggas, just, you know what I mean, unsubscribe and get the fuck out. Word up. Fuck out of here. Suck your mother, nigga. All y'all coward ass niggas in here hiding out. Suck your mother, nigga. Fuck out of here. So, like I'm saying, refinement is a focus due to the South Node Virgo. Now, we'll drop down to 0 in our sense of value with the self, which may seem like a crisis, but all it is that we learn how to let go of the false value, the false sense of value, which was, it was surface, it was superficial, because we had an agreement with superficial ideals. We had an agreement, and the South Node Libra was the end of the agreement with superficial ideas, superficial culture. And females is what, you know what I mean, were the mascots of being superficial, being fake, being phony. Like, you know, it's like buying a lemon car off, you know, of Craigslist. You know, you see a real nice car on Craigslist, the body looks perfect, it's all shiny. You know what I'm saying? The seats is leather. It's exactly what you wanted. But when you lift the hood, the engine's fucked up. Blown head gasket, timing chain is off. You know what I'm saying? It's leaking oil. The transmission is slipping. You know what I'm saying? Rocking arm off. You know, control arm fucked up. You know what I mean? These struts. You know, all that stuff. That's how American females are. You know what I'm saying? They're very nice cars on Craigslist. Very nice. They take great pictures. They look great on the Instagram. They look amazing. But when you look under the hood, you look under the trunk, you get up under that car and you put it on the lift. It's all fucked up. The whole thing is all fucked up. That's American women. And we're trying to save ourselves from this detriment that we got going on right now. You know what I'm saying? These American females are lemon cars on Craigslist. They look good from the pictures, but when you go to look at the vehicle, you know, you can't believe this nigga actually want to sell this shit. Like, for real. Take this bitch to the fucking junkyard. You know what I mean? Take it to the junkyard. You can use it for parts. That's it. Can't even drive that motherfucker. You're inheriting liabilities. You're inheriting burdens. You're inheriting problems. That's American women. You inherit burden, liability, and problem, drama, stress. strain, financial strain, distraction. This is what American women have become. Understand? So, bring it back full circle. South Node Virgo, okay? Refinement is the focus. Now, as far as Taurus, Uranus, this is where we have to cultivate, okay? This is where we have to cultivate. So the cultivation goes in where our character has a windfall, okay? The 10th house has a windfall back down to the 2nd house. You see? The character at the 10th house, it opens opportunity. It gains access. It attracts. You see? That's where you prepare yourself to receive and inherit new blessings. And new blessings are new levels of responsibility, new levels of duty that furthers your destiny. Okay? That blesses your reputation. That leads to greater gain in life and progress, stability. And it falls down to the 2nd house as resource, income, benefit, gain, self-esteem, greater realized value in the self, inheritance, assets. You see what I'm saying? Enrichment. All of that stuff comes to the 2nd house. So the 10th house, it falls down to the 2nd house, Taurus. That's your cultivation. But what's cultivated, you have to till the ground. You have to upkeep the condition of the garden. Upkeep the condition of the farm. You have to work the farm. Planting seeds and tilling. You see what I'm saying? You have to work the farm. That's cultivation. Every day you have to consistently water the garden. You have to pull the weeds out. So it don't just grow like that. What are you talking about? See, we don't want to do that stuff. We don't want to pull out the bad thinking, the societal programming that's inside of us, the bad habits. We don't want to pull this stuff out. The self-defeating behaviors. We don't want to pull out the fact, pull out our lack of accountability or immaturity. We don't want to pull these things out. We don't want to till the ground, right? And tilling the ground, what it does is it keeps the soil full of, oxygen. It keeps consistency between, the moisture and, heat. Loosens up the earth so that air can reach those seeds. It's an active and consistent process. That's where your constancy and consistency is at. Your staying power. Not just putting it there expecting a fucking miracle. No. You're going to work the ground. You're going to make it happen to produce. If you want, you're going to work for it. Whatever you want, you're going to work for it. You're going to earn it. You're going to grow it. You're going to grow what you want to eat. We have a culture of predatory behaviors and in our country. You got females in this country that decorate themselves so that they can be like a predator that catches a dummy slipping. They're trying to catch a dummy. Catch a dummy with his wallet open. Catch a dummy that's leading with his heart. Catch a dumbass who's still walking around here, "Ooh, I'm looking for love," hat ass niggas. They looking for a nigga walking around here talking about, "Oh, I'm looking for love," with your dumb ass. And they looking at you like a dumbass. This dumbass nigga, he looking for love. Love to women means you're in a spell with them to where she can put herself in a position that relieves her of accountability, responsibility in more ways than what she was dealing with before she met you. And as long as you're in that spell, it's ease for her. You're relieving her because your dumb ass is in the spell. These females want worshipers. They want men who worship them. They want somebody to relieve them of their responsibilities and duties that they themselves fought for. They want men to relieve them of the accountability and responsibility that's due to what they themselves protested to have. They wanted freedom. They wanted rights. They wanted liberty. They wanted liberation, and they got it. And now they want a man to pick up the hard parts, the burden parts, the difficult parts. They want a man to provide for and fund their freedom, to fund their liberation. While they sit pretty and your dumb ass out here tilling the ground. Oh, my boo-boo love me. That's why I'm doing this with your dumb ass. It's a lot of dumb sucker niggas today that really fell for it. And they go from man to man. The more attractive they are, the more they go from man to man, marrying, divorcing, taking everything he got and go to the next one, marry, divorce, take everything he got. And as long as they're attractive, they keep swinging from branch to branch. The more attractive they are, the more frequently they do this. The more frequently they have this practice. They are predators. A cougar's coat is beautiful. A lion's coat is beautiful. A tiger's coat is beautiful. A jaguar's coat is beautiful. But if you fuck around, they will take your life. They will fuck your shit up. They are predators. You will get what you work for. You will get what you earn. Understand? That's what time we on right now. 6th house opposes the 10th house and falls to the 2nd house. Virgo rules the 6th house. The South Node is at the 6th house. Understand? Do we understand why this is? Okay, so let's put the picture together. Refinement and cultivation. So we're learning mastery of transferring subconscious impulse into form-focused thought. Okay, that's the last decan of Pisces to the first decan of Aries. The transfer of subconscious impulse or illumination into conscious intention and thought. We're learning how to sharpen that capability. That's the handing over from the angel, handing over the illumination to the Orisha. You see, that's the transfer from the hand of the angel to the hand of the Orisha. The hand of the angel at Pisces, before thought is formed. The hand of Orisha, which receives from the angel, is where the impulse of consciousness, that's where it loses its essence and it now begins to submit to actual form, directed by your thought. So this is us learning how to work between angels and Orishas, how to be part of the transfer from the hand of the angel to the hand of the Orishas, from heavenly consciousness to the laws of physics in our actuality. Intention and thought. Intention and thought. How to transfer the subconscious 12th house dream, ideal of Neptune into intention and conscious thought, which forms the ideal. This is where we're at. Now, refinement has to be there because only the character can carry and deliver it. Without character, it cannot be delivered. Because the character, according to the 10th house, is how you gain access into the world market. You cannot go any farther than what your 10th house access, your 10th house status allows you to go. That's your access card right there. That's your passport. The 10th house is your passport based on your character. It's certain circles and connections that are not possible without the right character. There's certain fortune that is not accessible to you without the right character. Character is everything. Character is the difference. Character literally is your destiny. What's the alternative to the character carrying our manifestation out into the world? The alternative is manipulation. Manipulation. Manipulation and oppression. Oppression through Mars, manipulation through Venus. The divine masculine will oppress to get its results. Divine feminine will manipulate to get its results. And that's what happens when we fail to have the character that gets us the results, that gains us access. We will not go farther than what our character will permit us to go. It's not going to happen. This is what we got to understand. So refinement of the character. This may seem boggled together, but it's your feedback that lets me know, what I need to go back to the lab, and cook up to make clarification. But again, if y'all just sitting in the back like fucking spiders on the wall, how do I know, what you need to know or what you need to understand, where to clarify? How do I know what you need clarified? If you're just sitting there like a fucking spider on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Is no, there's no feedback. You absorb, you take, you go. But it's a very selfish exchange. It's a very selfish direction. It just goes your way and that's it. Boom. It's enough. It just goes your way. It's very fucking selfish. You know what I mean? But if I'm up here with titties and ass, or a fancy hat with, planets and stars on it, I'll come up here, apex down, not apex, Audemars, Audemars down, all type of gold chains. Oh, everybody can't shut up in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Because people are lustful. Lustful. You have nothing to say if it's not lust involved. Fucking quiet as a church mouse. So, it helps me to know how, what is needed to be clarified. Because it's a lot of things to detail and to lay out. Maybe I'll make it look easy, but it's not always easy. Because only my lifestyle allows me to clarify these things. If I didn't have the lifestyle I have, I'll be confused every time I try to explain this stuff. I'll be all over the place. I have to live a certain way to have the clarity to deliver these messages as I do. I have to live a certain way 24/7. If I make one false move in my life, I'll lose my clarity because I lose the peace within the self that allows me to obtain the clarity, to see the clarity. This includes I can't be wronging people. I can't be unjust to people. I can't oppress people. You know what I'm saying? I have to make the right decisions. I have to eat properly. I have to work out. I have to sleep enough. I have to be on a disciplined schedule. My mind has to be clear. I have to be in a place of peace and inner peace and order. Otherwise, I cannot explain these complicated things. I cannot clarify these complicated things. I do it effortlessly because the lifestyle behind me is what allows me to do it. But a lot of you niggas, most of y'all niggas is ungrateful. You receive, you take, but you sit there like a fucking fly in the wall, in the secret, in the fucking dark. God knows what you're doing with, with the information. But, it's a very selfish direction. But, that's where we at this level right now. But hopefully we get better. Now, when we look behind us, we're going to see the correlation of inconsistencies. There's a list of things that we always wanted, and we sought to get those results. We sought to have that outcome, and we tried everything except character. Everything. We tried everything except character. And character, choosing character, is to intentionally dedicate your 6th house, 10th house, and 2nd house to a spirit of refinement, a spirit of refinement, to where I do not have room, time, or energy to waste. I must be intentional, focused, and sincere about everything that I do in these houses. My character is my most prized possession. My time, my time is not to be wasted. I don't get that back. My energy, I don't get that back. So I will use it to create outcomes that I know will fulfill the purpose that I know I have, to fulfill my duties and responsibilities, to have a peaceful and stable life. But yet we use the sixth house and 10th house to undo ourselves, to sabotage ourselves, to bring harm and stress and distress, confusion and oppression upon ourselves. And we do it time and time again. Because there's pleasure in it. There's gratification. And it's instant. And that instant gratification, it leads to a lifetime of wrestling with ourselves. And by the time we reach our 40s, 50s, 60s, we look like we've been beat up by the universe. We look like we tired. And really, we just tired of beating of doing harm to ourselves. So this is a timeline where we get to look in hindsight and see, okay, I see how this works now. Character is how I access. So let me find the character that gains me access to what I say I want. Character. Okay, how do I get the character? My sixth house. I have to practice refinement in the sixth house. My time, my energy, my habits, my behaviors. I have to look in the details of my habits and behaviors that form my character. And I have to make sure that it is calibrated correctly. What type of habits and behaviors am I producing every day that leads to the same character, the same image, the same reputation? And it's the same thing with the first house, which is represented by Aries. Is no coincidence. What does my personality look like? What do I put into it to show up this way every day? All of these things we got to look at, because now real value is what we move with. You're not going to be able to, to buy your way in or to subject others to witchcraft and lust. Sooner or later, it's going to be completely inaccessible through those means. But the gap is closing more and more as every day passes. We're at a higher level now. And this higher level includes showing up authentic with the right intention, the right character, and staying in your own lane, being who you are supposed to be, not somebody else. And we're not going to be tricking and playing each other, manipulating each other, getting over, to have our way. No. Nobody's getting free rides.